crisis, at that time, our deficit was already 5.1% of GDP. The President's power to suspend appropriations was a very effective tool to reduce the deficit. Next, please. Fourth, the use of savings. Now, I think everybody knows use of savings. We use it, but there are savings. These savings can be used to augment other items of appropriations. And this is authorized not only in the Constitution, but also in the Administrative Code. The use of savings is not just the mere prerogative of the President. The Supreme Court Chief Justice, the Senate President, the Speaker, and the heads of the constitutional commissions enjoy the same privilege. In practice, it is a very practical approach to augment appropriations. We don't have a crystal ball, so we can't predict everything that happens in the future. And the use of savings is a good way by which you can ensure smooth flow of expenditures. However, it can also be subject to abuse. And the common abuse is that agencies would, in fact, force savings. Even if there should be no savings, they will force it, which means they will not implement certain programs and projects just to be able to generate savings to fund personnel benefits. And it is very common, so that by December you get 2 months bonus instead of just 1 month. And then the use of savings to fund non-related items. The general rule is that you use savings to fund similar items, but in some instances, these savings are used to fund other items. Fifth is the approval of the lump sum appropriations. Okay, I think I just enumerated some of the ones that you are already familiar with. The lump sum appropriations are appropriations without specific breakdown or details. The details of these lump sum appropriations are identified in the course of the budget year. So the most famous or infamous is the PDAF, or the Priority Development Assistance Fund. Under the intention of the PDAF, when it was originally incorporated in the GAA, it was supposed to be an equalizing factor for all the regions and all the districts across the Philippines. So regardless of where you are, you get the same amount. And that is why in the Supreme Court ruling, it was ruled as constitutional on the basis of the equalization factor of the PDAF. Now, the calamity fund, obviously, is you cannot predict a calamity, so it's got to be a lump sum. And then the contingent fund. The contingent fund is, of course, contingent. I remember somebody was asking me, what do you use the contingent fund for? That's why it's contingent, you don't know. So, otherwise, then why don't you just leave it? All right, so there are other lump sum funds, but all these are subject to the release upon approval of the President. Now, there are also special budgets for earmarked funds specifically provided by law. And this includes AFMA, or the Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act. Now, the AFMA is about 44 billion in 2009, and the AFP Modernization Fund is roughly 10 billion a year. And then, of course, the Agrarian Reform Fund varies between 6 to 7 billion a year. Now, the thing is, they're all in lump sum. In the case of the Agrarian Reform Fund, there's a council that's supposed to distribute it, but at the end of the day, it is subject to the approval of the President. In practice, again, a very effective tool to cover contingencies and to provide flexibility in governmental operations. While government in general is rigid when it comes to money matters, there are certain flexibilities, and these are one of those that provide the flexibility. However, again, because it is a power, it can be abused, and in general, it suffers from lack of transparency and a possible abuse of discretion. For instance, we all know about the selective release of the PDAF, only to those that, well, to those that toe the line. Okay, next please. And finally, I just mentioned the general power of the President to provide, to authorize benefits to employees. At the end of the day, this is the main motivating factor for everybody to know when there are benefits. I mean, you know, human beings being human beings, they need some push or some incentives to be able to do a better performance. Okay, so I'll not go there. So, while the President's powers on the budget are quite broad and overarching, there are checks. And to me, if these things that are put on the screen will be used effectively, I think the President's powers on the budget can have an effective check. But what that means is that Congress must do its job of congressional oversight and not be a party to some of the possible misuse. There must be a very active civil society participation. Public information should be available for the budget to be transparent, periodic reporting, and a citizen-friendly budget. In other words, a budget that can be understood by the ordinary citizen. And really, to me, because of the abuse, I think it is time that we abolish the unprogrammed funds. So in summary, let me say that the budget is a very powerful tool and instrument for development and for ensuring that the country's objectives are met. However, the budget is only as good as those that handle it. So it is a very good budget under a very good president, and a very bad budget and under a very bad president. Thank you very much.